So today we'll be starting off with a new subtopic. Relative motion. So what is this relative motion about? In certain cases, it is convenient to solve with respect to a moving frame. Normally we do everything, while standing on the inertial frame. If you remember this, we defined in the beginning, inertial frame, non-inertial frame. So normally we do the problems, when you're standing on the ground level, ground frame, but certain cases it is easy to do with respect to a moving frame. Meaning, for example, if I ask you this thing, motion of moon with respect to sun. Can you tell me how it looks? If you're standing on the sun and if you're looking at the moon, how does it look? Anyone? Think about it. How does it look? If you're standing on the sun and if you're looking at the moon, not the earth, the kind of, it's like the jalebi motion.
Point size.
Which one? Pratham?
If I'm standing on sun, point size, I will see the moon.
What are you talking? I'm not understanding. Slowly.
You asked right that how will you see the
How
moon?
does if you're standing on the sun?
So I'm saying it will be point size.
No, I'm talking about the motion. No? It looks kind of like this. It is a point size. I'm not asking how the moon looks. How the moon moving, the path, how does it look? Right? If you ever go to a jalebi counter, now you'll see like this. Round jalebis. Pretty complicated path. But instead of this, if you see it like this way, from the sun, see the earth. How will earth be? Almost a circle. With respect to earth, how is the moon? Another circle. So if someone asks you, sir, how does the motion of moon look like with respect to sun? Then if they ask you, locate the moon, the best thing is first locate the earth, that's a circle. And then locate the moon from the earth, that is another circle. So it's a combination of two circles, right? See, you can make the motion, into something more reasonable, something which you can study by comparing the motion with respect to earth first and then earth motion with respect to sun. You split the motion into two pieces. But whereas if you try to see the same thing directly, it looks like pretty weird path. And it is kind of spiraling out in a circle. Same way, if you see this also, example, let's say you have a lift. And inside the lift, you have a fan. Now, if you paint one tip of the fan, getting it? So if you take a red color marker and if you mark some red color on the fan ka wing, and if the lift is going up, can you tell me how will the motion of this point be? The fan is rotating also and the lift is going up also. If you see this motion, it looks like this, isn't it? The edge of your fan is going in a circle and the lift is going up. It looks like this. But in reality, if you see the motion like this, if you stand inside the lift, and if you ask this person, how is A going? What will he say? If you're standing inside the lift and if you see the fan, how does it go? A circle?
Spiral?
The entire combination is spiral. If you're standing inside the lift, you will think it's a circle only. And the lift is going in a straight line. This combination is a spiral. Making sense? So, see, now I don't know how to study spiral, but we know how to study a circle. We know how to study a straight line. Same thing here. I don't know how to study this jalebi, but I know how to study two circles. You're getting it? So it becomes very convenient when you study with respect to some times with respect to moving frames. So these are some of the examples. So if instead of directly jumping into this thing, if you can split the motion into individual pieces, right? It is more easy to study the individual pieces and then put them back again. If you see projectile motion, we did something similar. I don't know how to study the parabola thing. So I split the motion into two 1D motions and studied them separately and added them back. Okay, so put it down. So let's see how to go ahead with this thing. So relative motion helps you a lot, saves you time. Relative will be taking almost 3 classes, including today's. That is, after this 2 more classes. And after that, we should be done with the chapter. Then we'll start off with the new one. You can say the mother of mechanics, Newton's laws of motion. If you're able to understand everything in the kinematics and calculus, laws of motion shouldn't be that difficult. Still someone is missing. Who people are now? There is still one guy missing. Who is it? Put it on, put it on. Copied. Why all this? If I give you one more, turning the page. Suppose tell me. Let's say there are 2 people sitting in a train. And there's a person standing on the platform. So what A is doing, A is playing with the ball. He's just throwing up. Train is going up. Train is going forward. This guy throws a ball up. Can you tell me how B will see the ball and how C will see the ball? You and your friend are standing in the train and I'm standing on the platform. You're just sitting in the chair and you're throwing the ball up. So you're just throwing up, catching, throwing up, catching. How will your friend B see the motion? How will I see the motion on the platform? What B will think? If you ask B, how is the motion? Let's say this is some B. B will say, okay, the ball is simply going up and coming down. You're getting it? That's what you will see. But if you ask me what is happening, you know what I will say? I will say the ball is going up and the ball will also have the speed of the train. Remember this thing, if you're in a train, you will have the speed of that train. That means the ball is actually flying like a parabola. But the catch is the person A also has speed V. As the ball is flying, the person is also exactly below the ball. When the ball lands, The A is also exactly below the ball. You're getting it? It is like when he's throwing the ball, na, the hand which he's holding is exactly under the ball every time. So what I will see, the person C, right? C will think the motion is a parabola. And he observes A is always under the ball. When the ball is here, A is here. When the ball is here, A is here. So when the ball reaches, A is there exactly there. So if you see, the ball is actually like this. Getting it? So look at the thing, the same ball, when two people see it, they have a different perspective. So if you ask B, he will say it's a straight line. You can see this thing actually. Does this make sense? The B will say it's a straight line, whereas the person on the platform will think it's a parabola. So if you ask me, sir, which one is easy to study? Obviously, you just be the person B and study, na? That is easy, 1D motion. If they ask you find the time taken to reach the ground, it will be 2U by G. Do in the B curve frame. Why you want to do the parabola thing? Isn't it? The time taken to reach the ground will be same whether you're on the train or you're on the platform. Anyway, don't worry too much about it. I'm just giving an example. We'll be seeing things like this. But you know, it's a pretty interesting thing. The person A ka hand will be always under the ball. That's what you'll see from the ground frame. Put it up. Copied. So we have you guys have a small good news. Next week onwards, your schedule will be changed. You'll be shifted to the 9:30 batch. Someone doesn't want to shift to that batch, you can tell me, I'll put you back in 7:30 batch. No, see, look at the faces, everyone is like, no. Now, you guys don't feel it, but the other batch people already started asking, sir, our batch shifting next week to mornings, right? I said, obviously, 1 month you slept, right? Let other people also sleep now. Copied everyone? Next thing. How do you solve this thing then, relative? So we solve or we use relative. By subtracting the velocity and acceleration vector of the observer. What do you mean by this? For example, see, if there's a point 3, 4, and if there's an origin, if someone comes and tells you, I want to shift my axis such that 3, 4 becomes a new origin, right? If I want to shift my origin to 3, 4, what should I do? The process is you subtract -3, -4 from every one. When you do that, what will happen? The 3, 4 becomes your new origin, and the previous origin becomes -3, -4. Normally, that is how you shift. Getting it? So, how can we decrease poverty in India? According to this, UN Council, they define the poverty as people who earn some $3 or something per day. Just make it, $0.1 per day. There are no poor people in India. You're getting it? It's a reference. Whether you can eat or survive, it doesn't matter. Let people die. You just change the numbers and everything looks okay. Just like a COVID testing. Getting it? So at least in our state, that's what they're doing. Anyone who dies, they died of heart attack. No one died of COVID here. Getting it? So why, if you ask people why COVID is a very cheap disease, heart attack looks rich. So getting it? I don't know what the hell that means, but he can. So this is how the reference is. Put this down. I'll just turn the page. So then let me show you practically when you solve your problem, how do you use this? See, relative motion, the concept is easy if you understand, and it's pretty easy to understand. And we'll be using what have you learned so far. Put it up.
So it's a situation in which if a van is there and inside it a drone is flying and both of them are moving. Drone is not moving, but the van is moving. So will there be any effect of the van on the drone?
Pratham, when you're sitting in a train anytime, or let's say you're sat in an AC bus or an AC compartment in a train, did you see a housefly flying inside or a mosquito?
Yes, sir.
Now you think about it, when the train started, did the mosquitoes all go back? They
But
didn't care, isn't it?
Size of the mosquito and drone
It didn't matter. It is the same thing. It doesn't matter. What you're asking is as good as a crow or a bird coming and sitting inside the train, and the train started moving.
Okay.
Got it? So basically, what you're saying now, initially when it starts, right, what will happen? This is what will happen actually. Let's say, you said it already started moving. You should have asked me like this. The drone is there, flying. And then the car started. Then you know what will happen? The drone will remain there. The car will go front, the drone will hit the backside. And the drone will be dragged with the thing. For a mosquito or something, what happens now? The air is also being pushed, no? So for them, it works out. So it gets dragged away with that. See, same thing, doesn't it happen when you're sitting in a car or a bus and the car suddenly starts, you hit the back seat. You think you're hitting the seat. In reality, what is happening? The car is coming and hitting you from the back. Isn't it? When you're sitting in a chair like this, and you're sitting like that, and the car suddenly moves, you go and hit this thing, no? We think we are hitting the back seat, but actually the seat is coming and hitting you from the back. That is what is happening. Next thing, so let's see an example. Let's say we got 3 people. A is at rest. B is going with UB, and this is AB. C is going with UC and AC. 3 people is there. Getting it? A is at rest. B and C are going with different speeds and different accelerations. Now, I want to study with respect to B. Meaning your observer is B. Let's say like some mosquito is standing on the head of B and is looking at everyone. Like the same thing we do. We stand on the earth and we look at the sun and everything, the sun is going around us. Getting it? So now what we have to do, listen this thing carefully. Huh? If you got this thing, then it is wrong. The idea is clear, then the matter of solving. So whenever you want to see with respect to someone, what you do, you subtract his velocity and his acceleration from everyone, including himself. How do you subtract a vector? Take the velocity, reverse it and add it. Na? That is the meaning of subtracting, isn't it? If you have a vector, you want to subtract, what do you do? Reverse it, it becomes a negative vector and add it. Fair enough? So this is UB, this is AB. This is UB and this is AB. You do it to everyone. Then what will happen to B? B will come to rest. No, B will start thinking, I am at rest, everyone else is moving. Then if you ask P how A is going, what it will say? It will say A is going back with UB and acceleration AB. How is C going? It will say, okay, C is going with UC minus UB and AC minus AB. So in his frame, he will see new velocities and new accelerations. Now here, suppose if UC is less than UB, you will get a negative sign. Negative sign indicates it is not front, it is backward. You don't worry about the sign. The sign will take care of it. If values are given, the signs will take care of it. You can observe this thing when you're going in a local train, that's a slow local, and the fast local goes parallel to yourself. Observe it anytime. The fast local is actually going very fast. But because you're also in a moving train, it feels like the train is going with you. And when the station is being reached, you slow down, but the train goes off. So if you see, right, what you see and what the guy on the ground sees are two different speeds. Have a look at this. Ask me if you're confused here, anything. This is an important thing. So this is how we solve all the problems. This is the main idea. We choose an observer, take his velocity and acceleration vectorially, subtract it to everyone. And then we will see new velocities and new accelerations. And then I'll tell you how to solve after that. But this is the main thing. Any doubts on this particular part, please ask me. Anything you're not convinced or didn't understand, please ask.
So whichever is in the middle, we take that.
No, not necessarily. I could have taken C also. I could have taken C as an observer. I just took B randomly. There is no reason. Okay? If you take with respect to C, what will you do? You will subtract UC and AC from everyone. Copied? If you see, right, relative motion, it tells you something more philosophical also. It tells you things are always, relative. What you see and what I see, right? The same thing when we see, we might have a different feeling about it. When what is right for you might be wrong for me. What is wrong for me might be right for you. Getting it? And it is actually pretty important. Huh? This, at least in my life, I also observed many times. You think it is right, but for the other person, it doesn't feel right. Perspective. And we always judge people based on what is our perspective. We don't try to see the other person's perspective. Why do you think people fight? They're bored. And that is one of the reasons for people fight. When you're bored, you go and tease your sister or brother, isn't it? Or your younger brother or younger sister will come and poke you. Normally it happens in our class. Gatkoper batch mein, there is one student, Heenal, I guess. Her sister always keeps coming back behind and starts dancing and going away. You should see that girl, huh? Poor girl. She gets every time embarrassed, don't know what to do. So for me, that is one kind of entertainment. So. Turning the page. So let me take a little extreme example. So this is V1. Theta 1, this is A. This is V2. This is theta 2, and this is B. Now, if you want to do relative velocity for this projectiles, basically, you're going to do that also. So for B, first divide the velocity components. V2 cos theta 2, V2 sin theta 2, V1 cos theta 1, V1 sin theta 1. This is for A. So divide the velocities along I cap and J cap. Then you want to stop B. So with respect to B or A, we can do anything. Let me do B. with respect to B. I can take A also. There's nothing wrong. Then what you do? You subtract B ka velocity from everyone. That is including itself. Then what will happen? B will come to rest. B will think, okay, I am at rest. I am not moving. And if you ask how A is going, it will say, okay, A is coming towards me with V1 cos theta 1 plus V2 sin cos theta 2. Vertically, it is V1 sin theta 1 minus V2 sin theta 2. Minus. So that is what B will think about A. After that, what to do, we will see. So if the velocities are not on the same line, you take the I component, J component, and subtract the I and J component of the observer from everyone. This is the method. So put it down, have a look at this. Ask me if there's any doubt on this part. Copied?
Just a minute.
Okay. Clear? Then. Now, see, that's what I told you is in a verbal, everything is in a pictorial form, vectors and stuff. If you write in terms of, more technically, symbolically, we write like this. If we say VAG, means velocity of A with respect to ground. There is a meaning of that symbol. Generally, we ignore, we don't write the G, but it is understood. So when you say VBG, this is velocity of B with respect to ground. These are just, more technical way of writing the symbols, nothing much. If I say VAB, means velocity of A. So whoever is in the last, or that guy is the observer, with respect to B. If I say VBA, it is velocity of B with respect to it. So these are the symbols that we use normally while representing. So anytime you see A comma B is 10, he's telling you velocity of A with respect to B is 10, not with respect to ground. But if I simply say VA is 10, meaning it is velocity of A with respect to ground is 10. So we generally, don't write that G. So when you take VAB, this is velocity of A with respect to ground minus velocity of B with respect to ground. That's what we do now. with respect to b, meaning subtract b ka velocity from everyone. This can be written as, so VAG is VAB plus VBG. I just shifted it that side. If you see this thing, so velocity of B with respect to G, velocity of A with respect to B, this is velocity of A with respect to G. Triangle of vectors. This plus this should give you this triangle of vectors. It's just a vector way of showing it. We are not going to do problems like this. We will solve using the method which I taught you before. Take the components, subtract them and solve. That is the best way to do. But then again, tomorrow when you see something like this, you should not get scared like, okay, what the hell is this? So it is better to always have an idea like what it is. So velocity of B with respect to G minus velocity of A with respect to G. So velocity of B with respect to G. Now see, velocity of B with respect to G is, meaning simply see what I'm trying to tell you. It is like this only. This is, what I was asking. Moon with respect to sun. This is moon. Wait, not this thing. This. Velocity of B with respect to A plus velocity of A with respect to G. This I'm asking moon with respect to sun is equal to moon with respect to earth. This is earth with respect to sun. Make sense? That's what you did, no? The starting example that I gave you. How is the motion of moon? See the moon from the earth, then see the earth from the sun. You will see two circles. That will give you the motion of moon with respect to sun. So if the moon is seen from the earth, that is this. Then if earth is seen from the sun, that is this. When you add these two, I'll get moon from the sun. That's what it is trying to tell you, nothing much. So just an example I'm telling you. What is A and B? You can decide like that. B is the moon, G is the sun, and A is the earth. Just an example. So this is VAG, this is VB, and the result. So this is more, technical form, but I don't like this thing. It looks cool and all, but you lose all the understanding what the hell is happening after time. But you still should know actually. The thing is, simplicity is good to understand, but if you don't understand the complexities of the stuff, what you're doing, you will never go ahead in science. That is one thing that I realized when I attended my first physics class in my engineering college. I went so happily to the first physics class, jumping up. Physics class, something will be there. IIT mein aisa karke. I went and sat down, and the first class they started with basic maths. I said, okay, fine. Obviously, everyone starts with maths. What is the big deal? Then the teacher said, this is the course structure. This is what books we are going to follow for the next 4 months. And when I went and brought the books and saw it as complete maths course for 4 months. I said, this is not physics. They said, no, engineering physics is this only. So, yep. So dreams of an 18-year-old kid about physics were broken. So we went to the room and started breaking the tube lights and everything in the hall. Just like that, for fun of it. Using physics, huh? We used to do a lot of nonsense in college, right? We used to have a lot of keyboards, monitors, everything left over in a dump yard. So the game used to be, who can break the keyboard in one hit? We used to do every nonsense game there. Because fourth year, every year, nearly 600 to 700 kids pass out. So 600 to 700 old computers are left out. Normally what seniors do, they take away the hard disk, RAM and everything, important parts they remove and take it and go. They leave the rest of the junk there. Copied? Next one. So how do you solve problems with this? Now, first thing. if I say RAB, that is position vector of A minus position vector of B. This is relative position vector, meaning position vector of A with respect to B. So I will call this thing as R relative. Now see, what is V relative? Velocity relative is dr by dt relative. What is acceleration relative? dv relative by dt, or you can write V relative, dv relative by dr relative. If you see, all these formulas are exactly same kinematics formulas. सिर्फ हर जगह relative डाल दो. If a relative is constant, then you can use your formulas. V relative is u relative plus a relative t. S relative is u r relative t plus half I r relative t square. V r relative square is u r relative square plus 2 a r relative s r relative. So once you get the relative velocities, you just take it and substitute into the formulas. If you look at the steps, step 1, choose an observer. Choose anyone you want. Step 2, step 2, subtract velocity and acceleration vector from everyone. From all. Step 3, use the formulas. So the entire problem becomes as if, like, your kinematics 1D projectile, everything, whatever you did so far, you can use everything. Let me give you a few problems as examples so you get a better idea about it. Done? Put it down. Let's see a problem. Done? Urja? Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's take over something simple one. Let me show you one. Then you guys can go ahead. A and B. B is going with 72 kilometers per hour. A is going with 36 kilometers per hour. No acceleration, nothing. We'll keep it simple. Distance between them is 300 meters. So A and B go towards each other as shown. We have done these things normally. The question is find time and position where they meet. Okay, this is the question. So let me show you using the relative. First thing, convert this into meters per second into 5 by 80 into 5 by 80. Okay. Now, just for your understanding, first let's see how it looks for each person. If I stop A, meaning if the person in A, if you look at him, you know what he will think? So this is 10 meters per second. B is 20 meters per second. So since you're doing with respect to A, what should you do? Subtract 10. Subtract 10. Then what will happen? A will come to rest. And B will move with 30. Now, so you need to understand, B is not going with 30. A thinks B is moving with 30. You getting? It is A ka perspective. He thinks B is moving with 30 meters per second. So this is S relative. So here we have S relative. This is UR relative plus half AR relative T squared. There's no acceleration, so this term is 0. So 300 is equal to 30 into T. T is 10 seconds. That's straightforward. Just stop one of them, get the relative velocity, relative distance by relative speed will give you time, since acceleration is 0. Meaning both of them are going to meet in 10 seconds. You could do the same thing with B also. If you stop B, it will look like A is coming towards B with 30 meters per second. So when you solve the problem, this is what you do. Choose an observer. I chose A here. Subtract his velocities and acceleration from everyone. I did that. A came to rest. And now see, this is the thing. A thinks B is moving it that way. It's a perspective. Once I get that, now see, this problem becomes a simple, see, after this point, think about it. Kinematics question. A is at rest, B is coming towards with 30. In how much time will they meet? Distance by speed, na? That's it. That is how you solve all the questions. Basic kinematics. So whatever you learned in 1D, projectile motion, ये सब आएगा वापस. After the step 2, it is whatever you learned only. So relative motion is simply an extra step 1 and step 2, choosing an observer and subtracting his velocity and acceleration. Put this down, still we have to find the position. I'll show you in the next page. Done? Now you want to find this thing. Now tell me one thing. When you see from the ground frame or you see from A or B ka frame, the time they will meet is 10 seconds only. Time will not get affected because you're seeing from some other place. Does that make sense? What I mean to say is, let's say A and B, two people are meeting. Okay. Now whether you are standing, an observer C is standing or running, that should not affect what A and B are doing now. If A and B are meeting in 5 minutes, whether you're running or you're sleeping or you're jumping, it doesn't matter. A and B will meet in 5 minutes only. Your action will not affect anything that is happening to A and B. So that means A, T0, you're here, T 10 seconds, your speed is 10 meters per second, ground frame. We are again back to the ground frame. So your block is here, this is 100 meters. B is here, going with 20 meters per second. Again, you're here. This is 200 meters. So they meet 100 meters from the left. That's it. So in 10 seconds, A will travel 100 meters, B will travel 200 meters. So they will meet in 10 seconds and they will meet 100 meters from the left side. That is how the answer will be. Put it up. Any doubts on this thing, please ask me. So you can always, go into relative frame, then come back to ground frame. You can do that. There is no issue as such. The best thing is the time is same in all frames. Time taken for an event is same in all frames of reference, meaning ground frame, A frame, B frame, C frame, it doesn't matter. Done? Let's see one more question. Now you guys give it a try. We have train A going with 72 kilometers per hour. We have train B going with 36 kilometers per hour on the same track. Then when the distance between them is 500 meters, the driver of train A saw, okay, there's a train in front of us, and he applied brakes. So A and B trains are on the same track. With speed 72 kilometers per hour and 36 kilometers per hour. When distance between them is 500 meters, happens pretty frequently on our Mumbai locals. Let's say for some reason the train in the front of you is slowing down. The A guy will see the train is going pretty fast, so he will start applying brakes. When distance between them is 500 meters, that is almost half kilometer. A applies brakes. Generating a deceleration. So the question is, find minimum deceleration or find minimum A to avoid collision. Now see, if he doesn't apply the brakes, let's say if he applies it very lightly, he will go and hit the train from the back because B is going with 36 slower. Avoid collision. B continues with the same speed. B, see the train driver B cannot see what is happening at the back. So he will run with the same speed. B continues with same speed. The problem is for A only. And if you apply the brakes too much, what will happen? Train A might stop also. And because of that, you will lose a lot of energy. Again, engine start karke jana. So there's an optimal value where you don't want to lose too much energy and you don't want to hit B also. So there's a minimum acceleration for which you are at the safe zone. So the question is how much it should be the deceleration A so that the collision is avoided. Hope the question is clear. Anyone who didn't understand the question, please ask me. Question is clear, please go ahead. I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. Solve. Then I'll show you how to do this thing using relative. Do it in the relative frame. Now, before going ahead, I want to ask you one question. Tell me this thing. In order to avoid collision, should I stop train A? Yes or no? And why? In order to avoid collision, should train A stop? I'll ask you one thing. Tell me. Let's say you're standing in front of me, 10 meters. Okay. You're standing in front of me 10 meters ahead. If you're running with 5, I am running with 10. Can I catch you? I can catch you, right? After some time. Suppose if you're going with 10, if I go with 5, can I catch you? No, no, you're going faster than me. What if you're going with 10? I'm also going with 10. Can I catch you? No, no, distance between us will remain constant. You're always ahead of me. I can never catch you. You get my point? If you are in front of me 10 meters, if I'm behind you, and if you're running with 10, if I run with 10, I can never catch you. So now you tell me, in order to avoid the collision, should A stop? If A ka speed becomes 36 or less than 36, it will not collide, na? Are you getting my point? If the speed of train A becomes 36 or less than 36, they will not collide. There is no need for A to stop. Hope you're getting my point. Continue. I just wanted to ask you that, nothing much. Carry on. I'll give you another minute. So. See, I'll show you. First thing. First, let's just look at the perspective, how the motion looks for each. If you stop B, you know what B will think? We will think the train A is there. It is coming towards me, slowing down, and then goes back. This is what B will think about it. If you're sitting on the last compartment of B, meaning a person here, he will think train A is coming towards me and turning back. This is how the motion of A looks with respect to B. Suppose if you stop A, that is, if the train driver A looks at B, you know what he will see? Motion of B with respect to A. How does it look? Can someone tell me? What will the train driver think about B? he will think B is coming towards me and turns back, isn't it? See, this is what they guys think, but in reality, both are going front only. Are you getting my point? If you're standing on the ground, you are seeing A and B, both are going front only. But the train driver A will think the B is coming back. In reality, actually, he's going front. But he thinks the B is coming back. It stops and then goes ahead. This is how the motion looks like with respect to A and with respect to B. Getting it? That's how it looks, nothing much. I'm just showing you how it looks from A perspective and B perspective. B will think A is coming towards me and then goes back. A will think it is coming backward and then goes front. Put it down. I'll show you how to solve in the next page. This is just how the paths look like, perspective. Copied? Let's see how to solve. So B is there. Now see, such a big story and all I told, but actually when you solve it, it's quite easy. This is 20 meters per second. No, this is 36. No? This is 10 meters per second. Keep your hands on, people. This is 20 meters per second. And this is acceleration A. So we will do stop B with respect to B. So what we need to do? Subtract 10, subtract 10. Acceleration, there is nothing. So what B will think? B will think, okay, I came to rest. And it will say, A is coming towards me with 10 meters per second. This is your U relative. Acceleration is backward. That is A relative is A. So this distance 500 meters is S relative. Now, when this train is coming towards me, you want to avoid collision, meaning it should just come and stop here. Right? To avoid collision, B should think A came to rest. That is V relative is 0. What is V relative? V relative is nothing but VA minus VB is 0. Implies velocity of A should be equal to velocity of B. Ground frame. This is what I was saying. B will think A came to rest, but did really A come to rest? You get my point? A ka speed became equal to B ka speed. So relative is 0, but A ka speed is not 0. Now using the equation, V relative square minus U relative square is 2A relative SR relative. 0, 10 square, 2A, this is 500. This is also minus because you took backward. So A will be 100 by 1000. 0.1 meter per second square. Bas, that much all. Actually, if you solve now, you'll finish it off in like what? 30-40 seconds. You just take the B, subtract, and finish off using the regular one. But since I'm explaining you, I was giving you all the details, how it looks, what, and all. Saves you a lot of time. Have a look at this. Ask me if you're confused any particular step. So you should have a deceleration of at least 0.1. You can have more also. The driver won't apply 0.1, he will definitely apply more than that. You just don't want to go and touch train B. Put it down, let's see one more. But this is the idea if you see. Choose one system, take its velocity acceleration, subtract from the other guy, then solve using your regular kinematics problems. Done? Let's see the next question. Turning the page, everyone. Okay. So we have a building here, 50 meters. A is coming down with 20 meters per second. B is going up with 30 meters per second. Gravity is there. The question is, find time and position when A and B meet. We have done these kind of questions in 1D. Get this thing using relative. How to do this thing? Choose any one. See. So B is going up 30 meters per second. Now don't forget there's an acceleration also, gravity. A is coming down 20 meters per second. Gravity is there. I'll stop B. Then what should you do? 30 backward, acceleration G upward. Fair enough? So then this will be 30 and this will be G upward. So what will happen? B will come to rest. B will think, okay, I am at rest. and it will think A is coming down with 50 meters per second, and the best thing, A relative is 0. So B thinks A is coming down with constant speed. There is no acceleration. You might be thinking, sir, how did the acceleration become 0? Now think about it. If you're going with G and if you're going with G, they're always at the same level, no? So relative acceleration will be 0, isn't it? If both are going with the same acceleration, then the relative acceleration is 0. Then, and what is this distance? 50 meters. So the time will be 50 meters by 50 meters per second, 1 second. That's it. So in 1 second, they're going to meet. Did you see there is no acceleration, nothing. It feels like a constant speed problem. What about the distance? I'll just write it here. If you talk about V, SP, now say again, you're going back to the ground frame. SB will be UB T plus half AB T square. UB is 30, time is 1. Half acceleration is minus 10, 1 square. That is 30 minus 5, 25 meters. Meaning in this 1 second, we will travel a distance of 25 meters. So that means they're going to collide in the middle. So answer for this question will be they will meet in 1 second at the middle of the building. Because see, when I ask you where will they meet, you have to come back to the ground frame. You can't do in the relative frame. So relative frame is useful for finding time. Remember that. You want to positions, come back to the ground frame. वो time use करके वापस position निकालो. So it feels like, you know, see, B read, U is up, A is G is downwards. So UT plus half AB T square, AB is minus G. You got 25. Have a look at this. Please ask me if there's any doubt. We will see one more problem like this, similar one. You'll get a better idea. But any particular step you're not convinced, you didn't understand, please ask, get it clear. All clear? Arham, clear? Dhruvi, सब clear है ना? Harshita, fine. Manoj, understood the problem? Jatin, shall I'm turning the page. Ritisha, clear na? Same problem. A is going up with 20 meters per second. B is going with 30 meters per second. Gravity is there. This is 50 meters. Same question, no change. Find time and position when they meet. Only thing A ka velocity is reversed. So what we're doing right now is relative motion in one dimension. Next class we'll do relative motion in projectile.
Sir, after 5 seconds, they will.
Right. Position भी calculate कर लो. Again, the same logic there. B is going up with 30. A is coming down with 20, and I is also going up with 20. I'll do one thing. I'll just write on the same thing with respect to B now. A is going with 20 meters per second. Gravity G. B is also going 30 meters per second. Gravity G. You want to stop B. Great. So 30 down. G up. You're getting what you're doing every time. You want to stop B, so subtract B ka velocity and acceleration from everyone. 30 and G. So if you ask B, B will say, okay, I came to rest. But this A guy is coming towards me with 10 meters per second. Constant speed. What is the time? Distance by speed, 50 by 10, so 5 seconds. And what about the displacement? You can take any one. I'll take A now. The ground frame, if you take displacement of A, it is UAT plus half A T square. UA is 20 because we're going up, time is 5, half minus 10, 5 square. That's 100 minus 125, minus 25 meters. Minus indicates, see now A is starting from here, right? Meaning it went up and here it collided. 25 meters below the point of projection, means middle of the building. So the only difference between this and the previous problem, right? In the previous problem, they're directly colliding. In this problem, there A goes up and comes down and then they collide. Meaning this is how the diagram looks like when they collide. So in this, the answer will be they will collide after 5 seconds at the middle of the building. Position is same. Have a look at this. Hope this is clear. So if they ask you the time itself, right, it is pretty easy actually. It saves you a lot of time. If you remember how we used to do this thing, we used to assume let them collide x distance here, let this be 50 minus x. We used to write then x is ut plus half at square, and then we used to solve. No, that is not wrong. It might take another 30-40 seconds more. Time becomes important, people. You guys don't realize it because you are actually not writing the paper, actual paper. This sentence you will realize next sentence. Clear with this thing? Next one. Turning the page. Hope all copied. Anyone? Should I wait for a minute or go ahead? Okay. This one. We have a thief. We have a police car. This is going with you. So police car moves with a constant speed. Distance between the car and the thief is d. So thief, on seeing the car, starting from rest, initially is at rest, accelerates with A. Maybe he has a bike or something, he's started the bike. Accelerates with A. So the question is, find the minimum speed of the car so that the thief is caught. I'll show you this problem both in the ground frame and the relative frame. Then you'll understand, like, how does relative frame save your time, or how does it look? So see this thing, what do you mean by this minimum speed? Think about it, no? Let's say car is coming very slow, 5 kilometers per hour. The guy will start the bike and will go off aram se. Right? So there is a particular speed the car should go. If you go less than that, you won't be able to catch the thief. So what is the minimum speed of the car so that the thief can be caught? I hope the question is clear. In case you didn't understand, think about Doom. What is this thing? Doom. They rob the bank, they're going on bikes, accelerating, the police car comes from the back. So now you're able to visualize. Get this thing? I'll give you 2 minutes. See, let me show you in the ground frame, okay? Meaning if you're seeing here, if you're a bystander, so what do you see? The thief is here. He's accelerating with you. So let's say he has run X distance. So how much should the car travel now? The car needs to travel this much so that they can be caught. Getting it? So this will travel d plus x. So for the thief, x is equal to u is 0, so half at square. Initially starting from rest. And for the car, he's traveling d plus x, acceleration is 0, so ut. Because they'll be caught in the same time. So take x from here and substitute here. Then you get d plus half at square is ut. You get a quadratic equation, half at square minus ut plus d. Now here, the time is the root, time is real. Time is a real number, no? Therefore, root should be, root should be real. And we know for a quadratic equation, if roots are real, therefore discriminant should be greater than 0. Hope everyone knows this thing. School mein they must have taught you. Discriminant is greater than 0 or equal to 0 if the roots are real. So here, what is the discriminant here? P square minus 4ac. Now in our formula here, look at this thing. So half at square minus ut plus d is 0. This looks like ax square plus bx plus c is 0. So discriminant b का place में what do you have? U square. 4 is 4. A का place में half a. C का place में d. So you got u should be greater than root 2 ad. That's your answer. So the car should go with speed greater than or equal to root 2 ad. If you go with exactly root 2 ad, you will just catch the thief. Just catch the thief. Meaning one more millisecond and the thief will just go off. If you go with greater than root 2 ad, you can definitely catch him. He'll be beside you for some time. Hope everyone knows about the discriminant part. If the discriminant is less than 0, roots will become imaginary. So here the thief will be caught. That is a real event. So the time should be real.
I got it from v square is equal to u square plus 2as.
V square minus u square is 2a. Yes. Why?
So first I that
So what did you take V? This equation you wrote for whom? You did relative क्या?
yes sir.
Relative किया ground frame में किया?
Relative में
Will do. I'll show you. Relative I'll show you.
okay
Sir,
हाँ रे.
I brought the chief to rest by subtracting a vector, and then I got the
Yeah,
equation.
we should do that only रे. मैं बोला ना, I'll show you both ground frame and relative frame. I'm just showing you both the cases. I'm just showing you how does it look in ground frame. बस इतना ही, nothing much. Actually, even I will do with relative only in the exam. But for you guys to have an understanding what is the big deal about it, I wanted to show. So this is ground frame. This is how you do. Yeah, I'll tell you why this is important. If they ask you how much did the car travel when the thief is caught, you should know now d plus x. Relative mein, the advantage is it gives you time, but you will lose every other information. Remember this, there are no free lunches. If you're getting something for free, means you are the product. Just getting it. No one will give you anything for free. If you're getting something for free, means you are the product. Keep your cams on, everyone. ठीक है? Let's see in the relative frame. Now using the relative concept. So the car is there. Thief is having acceleration here. Let's stop the thief. So he will have an acceleration A backward. Acceleration A backward. Velocity is not there. So what will the thief think? Thief will think, okay, I am at rest. Now the car is coming with speed U and acceleration A. Now, if you just want to catch the thief, means what? The car will come here and speed becomes 0. No? This is V relative. U relative, A relative. If the thief is just caught, V relative is 0, meaning the car will just come to him and stop. He will think the car just came there and stopped. So, and this distance will be D, which is S relative. Now, V relative square minus U relative square is 2A relative S relative. 0 minus U square, 2 minus A D. You get U square is 2AD. This is minimum. So U minimum is root 2AD. Meaning U can be greater than equal to root 2AD. Because that's the minimum value. Done. So you got it so fast. Or you could have done this way also. You can say S is ut plus half at square. Then that is d. This is ut minus half at square. It's a quadratic equation. Again, root should be real. You can refer to the previous problem. U should be greater than equal to root 2AD. You could have said that also. If you see, the answer comes quite fast. So you can use either one of them and you can still get the answer. Saves you time, nothing much. See, the main thing is this. Did you see here? Let him go x, let him go d plus x. You need to think of all these steps, na? And then put them and solve them. But यहाँ पे इतना सोचना ही नहीं है. Meaning, you're coming with your deceleration, you just come and stop near the thing. Finish off. V square minus U square is 2s. Put it down. Done? I can turn the page. Manoj, clear na? Dhruvi? Okay. Last one. We have A here going with speed u. This is d comma 0. We have B here going with the same speed u, but distance is 0 comma 2d. So we have A and B moving with speed u along x and y axis as shown. Find the minimum distance between them. These questions are based on least distance. Find minimum distance between them. What do you mean by minimum distance? See now. See the diagram once. Initially, this is the distance. A and B ka beech mein. Now, when they come close, this is the distance. This, then this, then this, then the distance again increases. Na, aisa. You're getting? If you draw a line between A and B, first it will decrease, then again increase. Meaning somewhere beach mein, somewhere in the middle, you are getting a minimum. So what is the closest distance of approach? So A and B will be closest at one point. What is the closest distance? You can say distance of closest approach. That's a more technical word. Hope the question is clear. Anyone didn't understand, please ask me, I'll explain. If it's clear, please go ahead, you got 2 minutes. Can they meet? If they meet, so that 0 will be the answer. Can they meet? See now, by the time A comes here, B is still here. Na? Distance is double. So when A crosses here, B will come here. So they can't meet, isn't it? The only place where they can meet is the origin. They can't meet at the origin. The distances are not same, even the speeds are same. So that means there is a minimum distance between them. And how much is that? Try. See, first thing, again, we have to do with respect to some guy. I'll stop A. What are you supposed to do? You backward, you this way. No? Do you agree with this thing? Whatever you do, subtract it in the same direction. No? But to stop A, you subtracted U on the right side. So you put U on the right side for the B. Everyone agrees with this thing? Anyone confused with this thing? Ask me. Then let me show you the next page. A will think, okay, I came to rest. Great. And this distance is D. B will think, okay, now I have speed U this way also, I have U this way also. So it will go at an angle like this. What is this angle? Tan theta is vertical by horizontal, no? 45, isn't it? Agreed? Because both the components are equal. So that means this will go like this. What is this thing? This is path of B as seen by A. A thinks B is going at an angle, we will start thinking, B is not going down, B is going at an angle. Fair enough? And that is 45. This is 2D. Then this also should be D, because that is 45. This total is also 2D. Tell me one thing. For a straight line from a point, what is the shortest distance? Perpendicular? Getting it? Now see now, compared to all this, what is the shortest? Perpendicular line is the shortest distance between a point and a straight line. This is just an additional information here. Now think about it. A will think B is going at an angle. So what is the shortest line? Yeah, no? The perpendicular. What is this angle? 45. What is this distance? D. So what is this distance? D sine 45. This is your minimum distance, isn't it? Therefore, the minimum distance is the perpendicular length, which is D sine 45, which is D by root 2. I'll explain the whole thing again. Listen once. First thing, you took U this way, so you'll take U this way also. So because of this, A will come to rest, but B will go horizontally and vertically, so it will go at an angle like this. So A will think B is going at an angle. Then, because this is 45, this is also 45, this is 2D, so this is also 2D. So this length is D. So from A, the shortest distance will be a perpendicular. Dekho na? If you see all these lengths, it is big, smaller, smaller, smallest, again becoming big. That means the minimum distance will occur when it is a perpendicular line. Getting it? And we know perpendicular is the shortest distance between a point and a straight line. So if you drop a perpendicular, this is the minimum, this is D. So this is D sine 45. D sine 45 is D by root 2. All these problems, people again try them without seeing once. So if you see now, we are entering into slowly, 2D motion, 2-dimensional, relative in 2D. So have a look at this. Any doubts on this question, please ask me. This is a good one. If you try to do this in the ground frame, you have to use maxima minima calculus. This thing saves you a lot of time. So we will see more problems based on this in the next class. So any doubts in today's class, you can ask me, or any doubts.